From sushi to samurai, from anime to Mount Fuji, Japan has captured the hearts of millions around the world. But is everything as perfect as it seems? While Japan is admired globally, there are lesser-known aspects of life here that are far from ideal. Let's take a closer look at the dark side of Japan, issues that often go unnoticed by tourists and outsiders. Let's watch the video together.
But there's a lot of things that aren't so great about Japan, and I feel like maybe it's time to talk about that. First thing that I can think of is the gender pay gap, and in general just the gender discrimination in Japan is really, really bad. Like, women are just not seen as equal to men. They're just not. Like, it's like you're many years back in Japan, and just the fact that, you know, women cannot get a high level position in most companies, or it's very, very uncommon still, is really, really sad. And just the pay gap difference also is huge. And just the way I've heard how women treated in offices, like if they don't get married and have babies by the time they're 30, their boss will literally like either push them to, you know, hurry up, or I've heard stories of people even getting fired because they haven't fulfilled their female duties, like insane stuff. And that is one of the biggest things about Japan. Another thing is the whole sexual harassment in Japan is really on another level. Like, criminal activity is not bad in the sense that there's not a lot of theft, there's not a lot of like things like that. You know, no one's gonna snap your phone out of your hand and run away with it in Japan. I've never heard that happen or seen that happen. But there's a lot of sexual assault, sexual harassment, grapes like the fruit, I can't say the word. There's a lot of sexual harassment and everything that falls into that category that I can't say on TikTok without getting a warning. So that is a really big problem in Japan. A lot of women talk about these stories a lot, and it's funny, I made a video about it and so many men, of course, said that that's not an issue and I'm talking BS. But like, why are there women trains? Explain that to me. Why is there a need for a separate train every morning? On each train, the first and last one I believe is just for women. Why would they need that if men are so behaved in Japan? Because there's literally people taking pictures under skirts, there's people groping women on the train. It happens all the time. It happened to me, and like, people are like, oh, it's not true, Japan is so perfect. No, it happens, and it's a really big issue. Like I said, the crime rate in the sense of theft is low, but on the other hand, like, a lot of these sexual harassment crime rates are really, really high, and a lot of numbers aren't even disclosed because a lot of victims don't talk about it. And they don't talk about it because, this is another negative point in Japanese society, the whole shaming culture. Like, you're supposed to stay quiet, you're supposed to not say what you really feel, you're supposed to stay behind a mask and pretend everything's okay, because that's really something Japan is good at. And they have this honne and tatemae culture, where honne means to express your real feelings, while tatemae means to stay behind a mask and pretend, say something what you don't actually mean, right? And so a lot of people, you know, have this tatemae, and they don't want to create a ruckus, they don't want to create a fuss. Like, it's called meiwaku kakeru, and a lot of people don't want to create that meiwaku, which means to basically means to cause trouble. And no one wants to cause trouble in Japan because it's part of Japanese society to keep quiet and not make, you know, problems for other people, because it's a collective society. In Japan, it's always the group opinion over the individual's opinion. It's always the group's idea over the individual's idea. And that's one thing that, you know, it can be a good thing in some senses, definitely. I like this whole group dynamic in Japan, that you're always with people, but it's also very lonely on the other hand. That's another dark point about Japan. Like, it can be a very lonely country, and people underestimate it. I personally haven't experienced it yet, first of all because I have a lot of friends in Japan, so I never felt lonely, and also I am more or less an introvert, so I don't mind being by myself at all. And when I do want to be with people, I just hang out with people, or make friends. I don't struggle with that.
In global rankings of gender equality, Japan often falls behind. Despite the image of modernity, Japan has a significant gender pay gap, with women earning substantially less than men for the same roles. While some women do climb the corporate ladder and achieve better pay or higher positions, these cases are still exceptions rather than the norm. Deeply ingrained cultural expectations and rigid societal norms continue to hold women back, making Japan one of the most challenging developed nations for women pursuing career advancement. Sexual harassment, commonly referred to as chikan, is a pervasive problem in Japan, particularly on public transportation. The issue is so widespread that women-only train cars were introduced in many cities to provide a safer space for female passengers during peak hours. But why should such measures even be necessary? The existence of these cars points to a deeper cultural issue, one that shifts the burden of safety onto women, rather than addressing and resolving the root causes of inappropriate behavior. Shame and the pressure to conform are central to Japanese culture. This societal emphasis on fitting in can create significant challenges for those who don't or can't conform, including foreigners, single parents, and individuals with unconventional lifestyles. For foreigners, Japan can feel especially isolating. While the country is undeniably beautiful, the combination of language barriers and unspoken cultural expectations often leaves outsiders feeling disconnected and alone. Japan's notorious overwork culture has even coined a term for it, karoshi, or death from overwork. This reflects the harsh reality of long working hours and immense job pressure, which often come at the cost of personal time, health, and even life. Even those who wish to leave work on time face immense pressure to conform, as the fear of standing out or appearing uncommitted to the team keeps many at their desks far longer than necessary. Japan is a country full of contrasts. It's famous for its innovation, rich culture, and stunning landscapes, but there's another side that's not often talked about, real societal challenges that people face every day. By looking into these hidden issues, we can understand Japan on a deeper level and start conversations that might lead to positive change. And that's the end of the video. If you liked this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share it with others, and let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.